to the Village Voices. This is your host, Miriam Gibson, and
Shannon Churchwell. Hello, Las Vegas.
hello, our friends. The Village Voices is not associated with any political party, association, or religious organization. Our mission is to retain neutral and to keep the community informed of the current political and social issues that directly affect their everyday lives. After all, it's really all about the issues. Join us as we meet, greet, and interview our elected officials and political candidates running for office and those for political office, excuse me. We have invited today Ruben Kihuen. Good morning, Ruben Kihuen. How are you doing?
Good morning, Ruben.
Good morning to both of you. Miriam, Shannon, thank you for having me this morning.
Great to have you here.
Ruben is running for City Council Ward 3, okay? And we just wanted to let you know that Ruben is here to tell us his campaign platform, and we're going to ask him some questions, okay? So, great, Ruben. We're happy that you're here today. Thank you for coming. We just want to know, why did you decide to run for City Council?
Well, thank you once again for having me, and good morning to everybody who's out there listening to us. It's always great to be here at KCP 88.1. Miriam, I finished my term in Washington, D.C. on January 2nd. I had served a full term in Congress, and before that I served in the state Senate for 6 years, and then before that for 4 years in the state assembly. So I've been in elected office for 12 years, successfully doing a lot of work for the state of Nevada. And I came back to Las Vegas. I got a lot of job offers back in Washington, D.C. to stay in lobby. But I found out that my councilman, Bob Coffin, had decided to retire and not run for re-election. And so I was faced with the tough decision whether to stay in Washington, D.C., to make money and cash in, on all the work that I've done in the past 12 years. But deep down inside, I knew that I was not done with public service. I love what I do. I love serving the public. I love fighting for the little people, for a community that has been underrepresented. And so I decided to come back and give public service another shot. And so I'm out here campaigning. I've been out there knocking on doors for the last several weeks, talking to people, and more importantly, listening to people. Part of being in elected office is listening to the needs of the people. And so it's been an excellent experience knocking on doors. I went from serving in Congress to now knocking on doors, running for city council. But I think public service is public service, regardless of what level, local, state, or federal. Giving back to this country that has given me and my family so much is something that I enjoy to do.
Well, you're a prime example of the American dream. Give us a little history about Ruben Kihuen. There's a lot of newcomers to Las Vegas that may not be familiar, that's moving in the area that you're going to be representing. So give us a little history about Ruben Kihuen and how he came up to where he is today.
Good question,
That's
Miriam.
a very exciting journey.
Absolutely. As you said, I believe that my family and our story, we are the embodiment of the American dream. I was not born in the United States of America. I don't come from a political family. I don't come from a rich family. My father was a teacher in Mexico, as well as my mom. And my dad, back in 1986, decided that he wanted a better future for his kids. He just didn't see many opportunities for his kids in Mexico. Look, a taxi cab driver here in Vegas makes more money than an attorney in Mexico.
Wow.
And so my dad decided, I'm going to risk everything I have, including my life, to go to the United States of America to pursue this American dream, this dream, this land of opportunity. And so my dad came to the U.S. in 1986. Thanks to the 1986 immigration reform of Ronald Reagan, my father was able to become a permanent resident. And then eventually, 2 years later, he petitioned my family. We came here in 1988. So I've been here for the last 30 years. And my dad, I don't think he ever imagined that just 30 years after him arriving in the United States of America, that one of his sons will go on to become a United States representative. And
I'm sure he is so proud.
I know they're proud. They're very proud of you.
And look, but also with a responsibility like that also comes a responsibility to serve your state and your country. And, and for me, it's been about giving back. Being in elected office has never been about money. because those of you who know, elected officials don't make a lot of money here in the U.S.
That's true.
It's not like in other countries where you go in poor and you come out rich.
Right.
Here, look, I was making a very decent salary as a congressman, but for me, it was never about the title. It was never about the money. It was about giving back and giving an opportunity to those who are behind you, right? We came to this country with nothing, with no contacts, no friends, no family, no place to live, couldn't speak a word of English. We made it. So now it's our responsibility to look back and help those who are behind us accomplish that American dream.
What is it like to really do the knock on doors and really connect with people in your district? I'm sure it just really allows you to listen and connect with them in ways that, other people who just pay people to go out and canvass. You're out there.
Shannon, this is my 6th week walking door to door, and I'm doing several hours a day. And as I said earlier, I believe that the most important role of an elected official or even a candidate is to listen to your constituents. What are the needs of the community? And again, it's one thing you do in a poll, a scientific poll that they spend thousands of dollars for. And another thing, actually walking door to door, listening to what people are saying. All the way from, look at this sidewalk. It hasn't been fixed in 30, 40 years. And so for me, it's been enlightening to listen to the constituents. I'm actually taking notes. Every single household that opens the door and talks to me, I'm taking notes. God willing, I get an opportunity to serve in the city council. I'm going to go back to those notes and actually go street by street and say, this is what this street needs. These are what these constituents are saying. And again, I think that's the most important part of an elected official. Forget about doing the speeches. Forget about press conferences. Forget about the social media. The most important part of the job is to listen to your constituents. And there's no more effective way to do that than actually knocking on doors.
Face
That's a
to
real
face.
connection.
Yeah.
Correct.
They can feel that. You have walked the streets of Las Vegas with the high school here. You graduated from Rancho High School, didn't you?
I did. I actually grew up not far from here on Tonopah Civic Center, where my parents first came to Las Vegas. I went to J.D. Smith Middle School, and then I went to Rancho High School, then went to CSN Cheyenne campus, the one in actually now it's North Las Vegas campus, and then I went to UNLV. So I'm a product of our local education system. I had the honor of representing this whole area that we're in, West Las Vegas, North Las Vegas, part of East Las Vegas in the United States Congress. And let me tell you, even these neighborhoods here, I canvassed them when I was still running for Congress back in 2016. And, the needs are very similar. West Las Vegas, East Las Vegas, the needs are very similar. And I had the honor of representing this area in Congress. And hopefully I'll get the honor of representing East Las Vegas in the city council, because there's a lot of work to be done.
I know that you have been involved in politics ever since you was a teenager, right?
That's correct,
Did you
Miriam.
start out with Harry Reid?
I did. So I was never a fan of politics, to be honest with you. I always felt that Latinos had no place in politics, or even minorities for that matter. Back, when I first got involved, if you looked around, most of the elected officials were white men, and old white men with glasses. That was my image of a politician. And so I got involved in a race in 1998, my senior year of high school.
That's encouraging.
I needed extra credit to go to pass my government class, and they assigned me to the Harry Reid for Senate re-election campaign in 1998. And that was the first campaign that I actually went and knocked on doors and made phone calls. And I knocked on about 500 doors, I remember, in a matter of a few weekends.
Wow.
And that's the race, Miriam, if you recall, that Senator Reid won by 428 votes.
Yeah.
So I always tell people, I'm not trying to take credit
Every
for Senator
vote
Reid's
counts.
re-election.
But every vote does
But
count.
Every vote counts.
Exactly.
Yes,
And
it
this high
does.
school student,
Yeah.
17-year-old kid, 18-year-old kid, actually made a difference in a U.S. Senate race. So that's when I got involved, and the rest is history.
And then you went on and you became assemblyman?
That's correct. So I worked on Senator Reid's 1998, actually volunteered in 1998 campaign. And then I went back to school, started, got my bachelor's degree. And then in 2003, getting ready for the 2004 campaign season, I was hired to lead the Democratic Party's voter registration efforts. Basically, I was the base vote director. So I did outreach into the African American, Latino, women outreach for the Democratic Party. And Senator Reid ended up winning his re-election that year. And then Senator Reid ascended to being the minority leader and then eventually the majority leader. And so he, in a way, to give back and thank me for the work that I did for him during his campaigns, he hired me as his regional representative to work in his Las Vegas office. So I worked for Senator Reed as a regional rep for 1 year. I was out in the community meeting voters, and eventually I decided that I wanted to run myself. And I went and sat down with Senator Reed and said, Senator, I respect you. I admire you. I have learned a lot from you, but I want to run, and I want to be my own leader. And, with his support, in 2006, I decided to run for the state assembly. I served 4 years in the assembly, and then my state senator, Bob Coffin, decided to, he was termed out, as a matter of fact, and then decided to run for city council himself. So I ran for his Senate seat, and that was in 2010. I served 6 years in the state Senate. I was the majority whip, and then I ran for Congress, and, thanks to the people in Nevada, that was the greatest honor of my life, to serve in the House of Representatives. And I want to say, it was a tough 2 years that I was there, personally and professionally. Professionally because I was serving under an administration, under the Trump administration, that has been targeting minorities and immigrants. And so my role was to push back and, resist and push back against the administration. And then personally, obviously, I got myself into a controversy that, affected me and my family and many other people as well, that served as a learning experience for me personally. And it probably served as the single most learning experience for me personally, that has given me the most growth, has given me even more maturity than I've ever done in my 38 years alive. And that has served as a lesson that I'm going to take, for the rest of my life. But again, when my term finished, I was proud to look back and tell my constituents I did my job.
Well, you have did a lot.
Yeah, you really have.
You have did a lot for the community. You have did a lot for Las Vegas, and you, as a senator, you have passed different bills.
That's correct.
Give us some information about that.
Yeah. So look, in the 12 years I was in elected office, I'll just give you a few examples. I was the lead sponsor and presenter of the raising the minimum wage bill to $15 an hour. Okay. This is back in 2011 when it was not a popular thing to do.
Then.
Yeah.
Back then, people were talking about $10 an hour, and here I was in front of the state Senate, presenting the $15 an hour bill. So before it was all popular, before all these progressive candidates were talking about $15 an hour, I was talking about $15 an hour. During my tenure in the state Senate, along with Senator Ben Kekeffer from Reno, we passed the first ever grants for low-income students to go to college, the Silver State Opportunity Grant, which has now allowed almost, over 10,000 students to go to college for the first time. I was a low-income student. My parents did not have a college saving funds for me. So we created the Silver State Opportunity Grant that's giving $5,000 per year for low-income students, and it's predominantly affecting people in our communities.
Yeah.
Then I also was responsible, along with the governor and our state Senate, in creating the Governor's Office of Economic Development. I served as a chairman of the Economic Development Committee, and we created this office that eventually went on to entice and recruit Tesla and many other companies that we have here in Nevada that have created thousands of jobs.
That's amazing.
So a lot of, I can go on and on about accomplishments, but I think more importantly, I'm proud that I have always fought, for the little people, for people who feel underrepresented. I myself, again, 30 years ago, I couldn't speak a word of English. Now I'm serving the state assembly, state Senate, Congress. That's the beauty of America, that regardless of where you come from or who you are or, what your background is or what zip code you grew up in or your skin color or your, sexual orientation, that you can make in this country if you're willing to work hard.
That's very inspiring, especially to a lot of young people, to let them know that they can become involved in the political process and they can be, grow up and do things that could affect their community like you decided to do. And that's amazing.
And what are some of the dates our listeners need to keep in mind for this upcoming election? Is there early voting this time around?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So the municipal elections they take place in odd number years. So, when I'm out there knocking on doors, people are saying, Ruben, we just voted back in November. Mm-hmm. I said, well, these are municipal elections. They're in odd number years. So the one that's coming up, the primary, is April 2nd. So for anyone who's listening to us,
Mark your calendars.
yes, we have 3 city council seats and the mayor's office that are up for election in April 2nd.
Very important.
And then early voting begins March 16th. So literally in 3.5
wow.
weeks,
That's-
people can start voting.
Right around the corner.
Correct. And we have 2 very important seats here. Well, 3 actually. So we have District 1, which is currently held by Lois Tarkanian. We have District 3, which is the one that I'm running in, Bob Coffin, because he's retiring. And then we have District 5, which is Cedric Creer's city council seat. Now, these, if you look at the demographics of these districts, they're predominantly minority districts. And so it matters who you elect into office.
Yes, it
You know, you want to elect people who have the experience, who have the proven ability to fight for these underrepresented communities. And so that's part of the reason why I'm running. You know, I've been in elected office for 12 years. I have taken on every single fight that you can think of. You know, on behalf of my community, I have not shied away. This part of the reason why the Republican Party spent $12 million attacking me in 2016, because I always fought back. And I will continue doing that in the city council. I want to apply all of that experience, those 12 years, you know, serving in Congress, in the state Senate, in the state assembly. I want to get all of those years of experience and apply them to the city council level, because I do believe that at the city council level, you have a much more direct access and contact with voters.
Yeah, and you have a greater impact to make a local difference.
Correct.
You know, when you're dealing on a federal level, that's affecting things nationally, but this is really people are going to see a change in their actual city.
Right.
So
I mean, if
that's
a person,
really important.
Correct. If a person calls you and says, Ruben, you know, there was a T-bone accident right here in my corner because there are no stop signs.
Mm-hmm.
You as a councilman, it might not be the fanciest job, right? But you can pick up the phone and actually make it happen. You know, within a few days, a week, you can have a stop sign put up there, you know, to make sure that doesn't happen again. You know, and all the way, you know, also for business licenses, right? You have the opportunity to be able to entice businesses to the district. You know, if you look around town, if you look at Summerlin and Aliante and Southern Highlands, they have all the nice things. They have the nice parks, the nice, you know, driveways, you know, the sidewalks. If you look at East Las Vegas and West Las Vegas, we get the crumbs. We get the leftovers.
Well, that's one of the things I wanted to ask you about your vision for that area, because, you know, I live in Summerlin. I've seen the changes to downtown Summerlin, all these wonderful things that they put there. For the district that you're wanting to represent, what is your vision for the business growth and development? Because we are a tourist town, but a lot of the tourists come to the neighborhoods. Like my cousin, she's gonna come stay with us over the weekend, and so it's nice when they want to know. Well, take me to the local strip, take me to the neighborhood malls, and you know they want to do the strip things, but it's also nice to be in the communities, in the neighborhoods, those local restaurants and shops. What's your vision for that area?
That's a great question. You know, and so basically the boundaries of this district, for those who are listening to us, if you on the west side you have the 15, on the east side you have Nellis, you know, these are the boundaries, and then on the north side you have Owens, and the south side you have Sahara. That's generally the boundaries of the district. So it's basically all of downtown, all of East Las Vegas, and if you look at the areas you know that encompass this neighborhood, there are some very older areas. I mean, we have homes that were built in the 1930s and 1940s. So these are deteriorating streets and sidewalks and homes. So the needs of this district are not slightly, they're, you know, greatly different than anywhere else in the city. And those people have felt that they have not had a voice and that nobody has been fighting for them for the past several years. That it's been almost like, you know, that they've only been having a placeholder, you know, just to caretaker, if you will, in that district. And again, with all the respect to the councilman there and the staff and all the people, but they just have felt that nobody has really fought for them, you know, to bring funding back. So the vision that I have is, number one, I want to continue growing the downtown area, right? I mean, if you look at that district, in the last several years, downtown used to be a dump, with all the respect. I mean, if you look back 10, 15 years ago, you know, there was a lot of homeless, there was a lot of crime, there were deteriorating buildings. And then, you know, Mayor Goodman, the first Mayor Goodman, came in with the vision and said, you know what, let's make this happen, let's change it. So we want to continue to attract the businesses to that area. But equally as important, we also want to attract businesses to the rest of the district, which encompasses East Las Vegas. You know, we don't, you know, traditionally this district has been, oh, let's take care of downtown. Let's take care of downtown, you know, at the expense of the rest of the district, which is East Las Vegas, which is, you know, the Bonanza and Eastern area, Washington and Pecos, that whole area there. And so I want to make sure that even those areas where you see some empty lots, why not bring some new businesses to build a business there and create jobs for the area and stimulate the area? That's what we did in the state legislature. You know, the governor came to us and said, "Hey, we want this, to start the process of diversifying the economy. How do we do that?" We all sat down. We came up with the idea of the Governor's Office of Economic Development, and that is the office that we created. That again, eventually went on to entice businesses to Nevada. So just like we did it successfully at the state level, I believe that we can do it at the local level as well. And also, you know, some of them less sexy issues, if you will. You know, homelessness. It is huge in that district. I mean, every corner you see a panhandler, you see people living in the streets, people living in alleys, because, you know, this district still has alleys. I mean, this is such an old district. You know, we want to deal with infrastructure problems. I mean, you see a lot of those streets that have been, you know, I mean, if you look at between Flamingo and Maryland Park, I'm sorry, Eastern, between Flamingo and Desert Inn, I mean, your tires feel like they're going to pop out. That's not part of my district, but it's part of East Las Vegas that we use as an example of the things that need to be changed there. You know, also, you know, there are so many issues that they're not partisan.
They're not going to
issues.
be solved overnight. No,
Correct.
they're definitely not partisan. They're not going to be solved all in one year. But it's important to be committed to making that progress.
Correct.
Also, as you're bringing in new development into the area, one of the things you touched on was homelessness. How is the city council, like in your vision, how do you see making sure that affordable housing remains accessible to the residents in that area?
You know, Shannon, if you look at our economy right now for the last several years, the cost of living has been increasing and our wages have stayed stagnant.
Yeah.
So meaning that, you know, the rent keeps going up, the mortgage, you know, the cost of living keeps going up. But if you look at people's wages, they've stayed the same, right? So, which is the reason why, you know, almost 10 years ago, I introduced that bill, you know, to raise the minimum wage. You know, let's bring it up to par so people can actually make a living. Now, those are people who are working. We also know, though, that not everybody's working. There are still a lot of people who are unemployed who cannot afford, you know, to rent a house. And so a lot of these people, or even an apartment. So a lot of these folks, unfortunately, end up in the streets. And you know, and I actually read the statistic not long ago that it costs $30,000 a year for a homeless to stay in the streets. You know, when you include taking care of them, for example, if they get injured, or you know if an ambulance has to go and pick them up and take them to the hospital, for them to get treatment, for them to stay in the hospital for X amount of days, then for us to provide housing for them, where it could cost $10,000 a year to provide housing for them. So this is where we have to prioritize as a city. You know, do we spend $30,000 a year keeping them in the streets, or do we spend $10,000 a year giving them a place to live? And again, not all the homeless want to live in a home, though. A lot of them choose to be on the streets, but a lot of them also have mental health issues that need to be dealt with.
Mental health issues.
Right? They have PTSD. A lot of these folks who came back from serving in the military. So it's not just about affordable housing. That is a key component. But I also believe that a lot of these folks need to receive the treatment that they need so they can get off the streets. And, you know, a portion of them obviously are, substance abuse,
Right.
drugs and alcohol. But again, all of these things are treatable if we're willing to provide them the services that they need, and if they're willing to come and get the treatment and be willing to cooperate. So look, it's not an easy problem to solve. I believe the city council, the county commission has done a lot. I still think there's a lot to be done.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Ruben, for coming and talking to us today. We really appreciate it. I think we've learned a lot about you today, and hopefully let the community know how they can come out and help you with your campaign.
Thank you, Miriam.
Get in touch with you.
Yeah, thank you, Miriam. Thank you, Shannon, for the opportunity. If you want to get involved with our campaign, go on our website, rubenforvegas.com. That's RUBENFOR Vegas.com. People can call me on my cell phone anytime. You know, I actually put my cell phone in every single one of the flyers that we sent out in my campaign. So you can call me on my cell phone, 702-274-1707. Again, that's 702-274-1707. And if they want to email me, feel free to email me with your ideas, your thoughts. And it's at ruben@rubenforvegas.com. But again, Marion, just want to say thank you for this opportunity to everybody who's listening to us. Thank you for the opportunity that you have given me to serve you. You know, I'd be remiss if I didn't say that this past year has been, again, a learning experience, a very humbling experience that has made me into the person that I am today. But I believe that I'm stronger because of it. I'm wiser because of it, and more humble because of it, to be honest with you. And so I want to just thank everybody who has been there for me in the past 12 years in one way or another. I know, Miriam, you have been a big supporter and a big friend. And just want to say thank you because I want to continue serving. And hopefully, you know, the people who are listening to us give me this second opportunity to serve them. And I promise you, I won't let you down. If anything, I'm going to work twice as hard as I have before just to prove to you that it's always been about you and it's always been about representing our community and our state.
I believe that. Thank you so much for coming.
And
you.
keep in mind, April 2nd, Ruben Kihuen, City Council.
And we want
District
to
3.
remind everybody to go and register to vote, okay?
Yes.
These people that's running for a political office, they get in office, they can affect your lives, okay? So you want to put someone in there that's going to represent your interests and your needs and that have the willingness to do that for you, okay? Get involved in your community. You young people out there, you can start as young as 17 years of age to get involved in the political process. And hey, you can become an assemblyman, a senator, and a congressman too. You can do it. All right. I want to remind our audience that Village Voices is sponsored by Premier Paralegal and Notary Services, and also the Reconciling Clinic. If you have any problems with having your record sealed, please contact Village Voice. Email villagevoices76@gmail.com. villagevoices76@gmail.com. And they'll put you in touch with Reconciling Clinic and Premier Paralegal and Notary Services. Thank you so much for coming and joining us today.
Register to vote.
April the 2nd. Okay. Thank you.